Hey y'all, my name is Melissa Hagan and I'm here with YogaTX, and I'm just going to show you a nice beginner sequence when you're just starting to establish your practice. So we're going to start today sitting on some blankets with feet out wide. We want to move the flesh up and back so that we can ground down through the sits bones. And then reach under the right knee. Bring right shin parallel to the top of your mat. And then same left knee, left foot comes under the right knee. And your legs should look very boxy. You don't want them in too close to you. And you don't want your feet too close to each other. You want to cross at the and then you'll press into the blankets that you're sitting on to lift your chest. Get a lot of length here in your side quads. This is Sukhasana. It is a two-sided pose, so we will switch and do the other leg in a moment. For now, we'll do Urdhva Dhanurasana, which means taking your arms up over your head, basically. So you can start by palms facing each other, reach them up to shoulder level, and then instead of reaching forward, you want to take the shoulders back, lift the chest towards the chin, and then inhale to reach the arms up alongside the ears. Keep the elbows straight. Keep lifting the chest, spreading the palms, extending evenly through all of your fingers. You can exhale to release, and then we'll take the legs back out and the opposite side. So an important thing to know in this pose is you always want your hip bones to be above your knees. That's why you sit on blankets. If your knees are way up here, you can support your knees with blocks because it will allow your inner groins to rest. Should be a comfortable seated position. So one more time. This time we can interlace the fingers and straighten the elbows, press the palms out, reach the pinkies up towards the ceiling and the thumbs down. Top of the arms reaching back, inhaling the arms alongside the ears. Here you can think about pressing the thumbs up towards the ceiling, rotating the pinkies down towards the back of the head. Exhale to release. Good. So our next pose is downward facing dog. It's the basic yoga pose, happens in almost every yoga class, maybe one of the most popular. So coming to our hands and our knees, we want to think about the eyes of the elbows rotating out. Sometimes it helps to turn your fingers out a little bit. Your thumbs can point straight forward, and that will help you get the correct rotation in your shoulders. So with the elbows rolling out, tuck your toes, lift your hips, reach up and back. You can keep your knees bent. A lot of times people will come right into the pose and be real hunchy. You want to bend the knees to get a long spine. The spine is the most important part to start. Spread through the fingers, and then maybe one at a time, you can reach the heels down towards the mat. Deep breaths. Opening the armpits, reaching the hips up and back, opening the backs of the knees. Building strength in your arms, stretching the whole back of the body. You don't want to overarch your back, and you don't want to round your back. You want it long, nice and extended. You can come down to your hands and your knees. And our next pose will be Tadasana Mountain pose. So come to standing. And this pose is helpful to do at a wall. A lot of people think, oh, this is just standing up. But this pose is important because it shows any irregularities you may have in your posture. So line up your feet, hips width apart, toes are pointing straight. You can bring your bottom to the wall, and your feet don't come all the way to the wall. You want to leave a little bit of space there. Just the depth of your buttock is how much space you need. And then you bring your shoulders back to the wall and your head. And this is a nice guide for standing up straight. Lift your toes, lift the arches of your feet, and lift your kneecaps, which engages your thighs. If you give them a little poke, squeeze, they should feel hard. Your tailbone descends down towards your heels and your navel draws in. Your shoulders roll back and down. Palms forward helps that. And then you can reach up through the very base of your skull right here. Tucking the chin slightly. Tadasana Mountain pose. Good. So our next pose is Warrior Two. And it does help to have a wall behind you because you can use your heel to press into the wall to straighten that back leg. So you can step your feet apart, bring your right heel to the wall and your left toes pointing straight out, and you want a little bit of space in between. So you start with your legs straight, lifting your toes, lifting your arches, lifting your kneecaps, descending your tailbone as you begin to bend into your left knee. The knee comes over the heel, trying to get this hip as parallel as possible. This knee is really straight, this leg is working really hard. I'm pressing into the wall to keep straightening the leg even more and more. And then I lift my chest. Bend, bend, bend. And then the arms can come up. You can use this wall. Sometimes we'll be shoulders too far forward, sometimes we'll be too far back. You want to keep your shoulders over your hips. Reach through the fingertips. Gaze over the left middle finger. Shoulders back and down, lifting the chest. Don't let these ribs stick up. Your back is overarching. Bring them down and in, navel in and up. Good. You can straighten the leg, turn the toes forward, step the feet together. And I'll do it on the other side now. You'll bring your left heel to the wall. Toes are slightly forward. The right foot nice and wide. Line up the top of the foot with the ankle, the shin, and the knee. You don't want your knee to fall in or out. And make sure here, as you bend into the knee, your tailbone is descending. We don't want pokey butts. Knee over the heel, back heel pressing into the wall to straighten the leg, lifting the chest, and then bringing the arms out to your sides. Shoulders back and down, and gaze over the right middle finger. You can bring your hands back to your hips, straighten your knee, turn your forward, and step your feet together. Our next pose is Prasarita Padottanasana, basically a wide-legged forward fold. So you'll have your blocks. If you need something higher, you can use a chair. But most of the time, if we can't reach the floor, we want to raise the floor. You're going to step your feet wide. Toes pointing straight forward. Lift your toes, lift the arches of your feet. Don't let your ankles collapse. And lift your kneecaps. Engage. Descend the tailbone, draw the navel in, hands to the hips. Get length in the front of the body. Inhale and exhale to fold. Bringing your hands to your blocks, flattening your back. Reach your chest forward, gaze forward, concave your spine. Once you've been here for a minute, you can maybe lower your blocks or bring your hands down to the floor. Still concaving, looking forward, creating space in the spine, and then exhaling to fold. Maybe your head can reach the ground and your hands can come in between your feet. If not, use your block to ground your head. Press into your hands to lift your shoulders and lift the back of your hips up towards the ceiling. To come out, straighten your arms, walk back up. Hands to your hips. Wiggle your feet together. Good. So the final pose that we're going to do is a very gentle inversion. We're going to use a wall. This one is really good for your circulation, really good for refreshing your brain. You're going to sit really close to the wall and lay down. And then roll your feet up the wall. So you want to make sure that your behind is touching the wall, and bring your heels to the wall. You can dig your elbows into the ground to lift your chest, and then relax with your palms up. And just rest here. Usually we'll stay in this pose for at least 5 minutes. 10 minutes is better. It's a really great gentle inversion if you're tired, if you've been on your feet all day, they need a break. So stay here for as long as you want, and then when you're done, you can bring the soles of the feet together, slide them down the wall, just gently pressing the knees out to open the inner groin. And then bring the knees together and roll over to your side, coming out the way you came in. Up to seated. And so those are a couple great beginner poses that you can work on. This is Melissa with YogaTX, and thank you so much for coming to practice with me today. Namaste.